So, hey everybody, look who's here with me. It's Darrell. We're so happy to have Darrell with us today. After our announcements and a little reflective reading, we are going to have a special Thanksgiving tribute. Darrell's going to talk about that, but we thought, what can we do to make our post-Thanksgiving gathering special? And I know a lot of you miss being in person, being together. And one of the things that so many people enjoy is not only hearing Darrell sing, but the way he leads us to sing together. Well, we can't be together, but maybe the next best thing is to get a little feature from our brother here. So thank you, Darrell. All right, let's get into our announcements. We'll do that real quickly. If you are not familiar with Althea, we are now an in-person and online learning community focused on awakening to the oneness of all. And that is such a beautiful mission, because it means that not only do we seek to experience and recognize the interconnection of things, but we also seek to recognize that interconnection is because we are all a part of one thing, that all things exist in spirit, or maybe you have other words for it: consciousness, energy, God. And as such, we are open to all affirmative, uplifting, unitive paths to spirit. So each person does it in their own way. But what's beautiful about Althea is we're just committed to doing it together. So thank you for being with us online. And having said that, perfect segue to let you know that we have something coming up in just about 10 days that is probably one of the most amazing things, I think, we have ever done in the Althea community in any moment. And it's an event called Legends and Luminaries. So I'm not going to take too much time, because we want to get through the announcements and get into our experience and share with Darrell. But we will be hosting online on December 10th live a special fundraiser that is really a conversation with 10 influential, leading, celebrated spiritual teachers. 5 of our 10 teachers are on Watkins 100 most influential spiritual teachers list this year. Most of them have actually been on that 100 list at one point or another. Most of them are also New York Times bestselling authors. It's going to be incredible, and I'm fortunate because I'm helping organize it. And what's powerful about it is you're going to get teachers like Neil Donald Walsh, Greg Braden, Byron Katie, Alberto Violdo, Joan Borisenko, people that are current, people that have been around forever. And each one is going to have about 10 or 15 minutes as we just laser in on what were the most impactful lessons that they felt or saw or experienced in 2020, and what is their advice or offering to each of us going forward into 2021. And I was a little skeptical that they would all just like zero in on something super awesome. I don't know why, but it's great. What I've experienced so far and the conversations I've had getting ready for this, it's really cool. The other thing is, this event is in place of our Winter's Gift fundraiser. There's no question that we are facing some financial, trying to think of another, a good word for it. Well, challenges to be online so much and not have the rent of in-person business and not be able to gather and raise donations as we do normally. So you attending this 100% goes to the nonprofit that Althea is. Please, not only are we asking you to attend, but spread the word. Because if you're here, 5 people that would love that event. Just a new view on what we can take from this year into an extraordinary experience of 2021. Please spread the word. Okay, you got it? Now, hopefully, Susan's going to put up that link. If you need to take care of that this morning, we would be so grateful. We want to sell it out, so help us. All right, continuing now, I have my list of announcements. Mariposa's first Wednesday Diversity Dialogue, which reflects on World AIDS Day, which is coming right up, is going to be on Wednesday, December 2nd. And that's by Zoom. So go to our website or newsletter. Joni Klieger has a fantastic new small group program called Once Upon a Time. And it's a powerful way of exploring stories and how we tell stories about life and our lives. The next 3 Tuesdays, we continue to have spiritual experience classes, and they are based on the book, The 7 Super States of Consciousness, Spiritual Experience, which you can download totally free, no strings attached on my website. You just click, send me the book, and it just opens right up. At Tuesday, 12 noon, we have our 2020 recovery group. It's been really cool. You can just go online, get the link, or I think you just register and we send you the Zoom code. And it's been very powerful. It's a way to talk more intimately about what this year has brought to us and through us. And yeah, a lot of really interesting, powerful things have come up. And then finally, Thursdays at 11, and then again in the evening, and you're going to have to double check that you've got all the right info for it. Just go to our website, classes, or the newsletter. But Thursday, we're going to have a new class, and this class is going to happen in the morning and at night. So there's no excuse not to miss it, and it's called Community Connections. And Joni, actually, our dear Joni, is going to be running it with me. So I'm going to run the morning one. She's going to run the evening one. But the idea is that we are going to share a process of a higher level of engagement than we normally get on Zoom classes. Ask a question, listen to a lot of talking. This is focused around getting you connected to each other, hearing each other, being together. So please, please, please check it out. You can come in the evening or you can come in the morning. All right, having said that, I think we're good to go. So on that note, how about this for a transition? What if we take a breath? What if we slow down? And then we'll say our statement of being, and from that quiet place, it would be my honor to welcome Darrell to share a little something about the song that we've chosen, and we'll go from there. So closing your eyes, sitting comfortably but alert. I'm going to ask you to take a deep, grateful breath in, grateful for another day of life, breathing out, grateful for the things that are the struggles of the past, grateful to be beyond them, grateful to carry the lessons and not the burdens, breathing in again the freshness of choice and hope and energy for the day, for the future, and breathing out gratitude for all the ways we're nourished, a breath of thanksgiving to the world around us, for the hearts and hands, the creatures, the plants, the world that feeds us in so many ways. Use this breath now just to slow down and settle down. And in this stillness, we remember that we are never alone. In the silence, we remember that we share this silence with all life. This is the space between us. This is the presence within us. And no matter what we face in life, the ups and downs, the fire and the rain, we are still connected. We are still united in spirit, and we can always find a way to connect with the beauty and the blessings of life, not just despite our sorrows, but sometimes even because of them. there is an immanent beauty in life that reminds us of our place in spirit. And that is something to be ever grateful for. We affirm this eternal presence with our statement of being, which you can think or feel or say with me if you like. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And we are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so I invite you to come back to the screen, back to each other, with a heart filled and filling with gratitude for this year, yes, this year, for our Althea community and all those like Darrell who have kept this going. And so thank you, Darrell, for all you do. And we invite you to share your gift today.
Thank you so much. When Jonathan and I were talking about what kind of song we would like to do in the service today, we wanted to choose something that was a little reflective of what's going on, something that kind of reflects the challenges that we are all dealing with right now. We thought about a song, You've Got a Friend. Of course, that's a really beautiful song. But then we thought this next song, James Taylor's song again, is a little bit more reflective of the challenges because it talks about the fire and rain that we all are going through. And I also wanted to choose a song that even though we're not together, we can kind of sing along together. So even though you're not able to join me physically here in my room, or I'm not able to join you in yours, I would like to invite you to sing along with me as I do this next song. And when I was rehearsing it, I couldn't help but someone became very, very prominent in my thoughts. And so I would like to dedicate this song to our good friend Pam Getty. So please join me on James Taylor's Fire and Rain. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? You gotta help me make a stand. You've just got to see me through another day. My body's aching and my time is at hand. I won't make it any other way. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Been walking my mind to an easy time, my back turned towards the sun. Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around. Well, there's hours of time on the telephone line to talk about things to come. Sweet dreams and flying machines in pieces on the ground. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you, baby, one more time again now. Thought I'd see you one more time again. There's just a few things coming my way this time around now. Thought I'd see you, fire and rain now. And I always thought that I'd see you again.
Oh, Darrell, magnificent. That is really beautiful. Thank you, really. And thank you for your tribute to Pam. I think so many people in this community um, were knowingly touched by her contributions and her work. But most people don't realize that probably, it's fair to say, Althea wouldn't even be open today if it wasn't for Pam and the small group of community members that really ensured that we made it through other hard times. Just before I came, a lot of people don't know, but Althea was just literally a handful of people keeping the doors open for a very small group gatherings, and she was the main administrator and kind of Jacqueline of all trades. So anyway, to Pam, thank you, Darrell, and really, it's a good moment to say thanks to all those who have helped us to come to this moment, so that we can celebrate the fire and the rain and face it all together. Darrell, blessings to you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So back to our reflections on gratitude. You know, there's something so sweet about that song that Darrell sang, and the fact that it reminds us that gratitude isn't about getting what we want the way we want it. It can be about something else, something bigger, something more inclusive. So I thought, because it's been a while, I'm going to share a story. Surprise, surprise. And this is a story, you know, I like to retell my stories. I don't know if you know this, but in the old days, in the olden days, when stories were a sort of a central mode of teaching, the same story was taught many, many, many times. In fact, one thing that I learned when I was studying oral tradition in native cultures is that one of the reasons why stories are told over and over again is not only because the teller of the story will tell the story differently each time with new nuances and flavors of the day, but also because the listener hears the story different each time and learns more about themselves. So the repetition of anything, really, even a daily gratitude practice, which I highly recommend, is not about doing the outer practice perfectly, but it's about using the outer practice to discover the changing landscape inside. Well, this is, I'm going to try to make this a bit of a shorter version of this story. It is a slightly different version than what you may remember, but it goes like this. You want to fill in the blank? You ready? When? When does it start? Once upon a time. And where? In a faraway land, or far, far away, or whatever version you want. And there was a great empire. And there was a great queen who was wealthy and powerful and benevolent beyond compare. And at her side throughout her life, she had always journeyed and been supported by her great and most trusted advisor. Now, there came a time when she was older and he himself was aging as well. And I don't know what the word is, an expedition, that's it, thank you. An expedition had just returned from the New World, and rumors spread quickly that they had found treasures and gems. In fact, they found one gem so precious, so rare, so unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. Imagine like the first, I don't know, colored diamond, right? Something like that. Big enough, like hands in prayer, right? Nice, long, thin, sort of disc, like a, I don't know what the heck I'm trying to say. You get the idea. This precious, precious gem. And everyone thought this is without a doubt the richest object in the whole empire. In fact, they've never heard of anything this precious or rare. But as the word spread, of course, there was also a lot of talk. What would be done with it? Where would it go? What would happen if it fell into the wrong hands? Really, someone could buy an entire kingdom with this gem. So the queen thought about this. Her advisor, who had been at her side since she was a child, since the day of her inauguration, advising her day in, day out, dedicating his life to her well-being and the good management of the country. Well, he gave her all kinds of advices. Well, you could put it in the tower. Well, you could put it down in the dungeon. Well, you know, all these different things. And she said, you know, I appreciate your recommendations, and I always have, but I've already hidden it. So don't worry about it. Well, where'd you hide it? What are you talking about? Well, it's not important. You're right. It should be hidden, and I've hidden it. Let's just leave it at that. I prefer you don't know. What? I mean, he was shocked. He left the queen's court, scratching his head. Why wouldn't she tell me? I thought I was her most trusted friend, her most trusted advisor. He walked around the grounds of the castle, looking around suspiciously. Who got into her head? Did someone tell her she can't trust me? How could she not trust me? After all these years, after all that I've done, why wouldn't I know where this is? She thinks I'm going to try to take over the castle. She thinks I'm going to take the throne. She thinks I'm going to run away with it. What the hell? What has my life been? Worth nothing to her? And he got more and more angry until he stormed out of the castle. You tell the queen that she will live to see the day she regrets treating me like this. You make sure she gets that message. She hasn't seen the last of me. She thinks she's got something so precious, she doesn't even know what she's got. And he storms away. Now, the queen was told of the news, and she was heartbroken. She looked up, she looked around to the advisors, the junior advisors that remained. She said, well, did no one talk to him? Did anyone see where he went? I didn't tell him because I want him to be safe. And I'm afraid that anyone who knows where this is hidden could be captured or kidnapped or threatened. I love him. That's why I didn't tell him. And he never asked me to find out. And she sent them all away, and she wept. She wept for the depth of this misunderstanding, for the loss of her dear friend, and for the deep gratitude she had in her heart for this man who meant the world to her, who she wanted to protect and save at all costs. Well, it turns out a couple of years later, after, all the stories and rumors of his whereabouts subsided, life went on. And one day, towards sunset, a curious thing happened. There was a pounding at the gates of the castle, as you can imagine. The guards opened it a crack, and there they saw this frail old beggar of a man, toothless, and hooded, scruffy and dirty, asking for comfort for the night, that he was lost, and if only the queen would let him have permission to come in, a bit of water and bread, he could make it to the next village in the morning. Well, the guards were not really into this, right? I mean, the gem, the world's most precious gem is there. The queen is there. I mean, it's a castle. It's not like a Super 8 motel. And so they kind of went back and forth. He was pleading. They were peeking through the hole. It just so happened the queen was walking through the courtyard at the time. And she said, "Tell me what's going on." So the guards explained, the whole deal. The old man, he's too tired to make it to the village, but, he wants to come in. Don't worry about it. We got it. And she said, who am I if not the keeper of my people? The mother of all. Bring this old beggar in, and we will feed him tonight. Give him a place at the royal table. We're having another banquet. Feed him well. And when it's over, you can show him to a room where we will have beautiful night clothes for him. We'll draw a bath and everything will be fine. Send him on his way in the morning. Well, sure enough, the banquet was just beginning. In fact, that's just where the queen was headed. They opened the gates, and there in the entourage of the queen, the old beggar was led into that banquet hall. But as you may know or may remember, that the old beggar, in fact, was not the old beggar, but was her old advisor in disguise. And who would have recognized him with this long, full, scruffy beard with the hood and the, charcoal on the teeth? No one could have imagined. He looked around, seeing all the things that had changed since he'd been there, coming into the banquet hall that he'd been in hundreds of times in his own life. And there he was sat and fed just like anyone else in the royal entourage. Well, the night went on and the queen was eating and she was watching everyone closely, especially the old man. And you can imagine that after all those years together, she would know him, even in a disguise, the way he holds his cup, the way he cuts his meat, the way he laughs or holds his body, even in disguise. And again, she felt that deep sadness that clearly he was back for some ulterior motive, for some revenge. Her dearest friend, this horrible misunderstanding. And she didn't want to embarrass him or expose him. And so she thought about what she could do. In some moments, she excused herself, went out of the room, and came back with a little basket, some bread, apples, dried meat. And she went over to the old man at the end of the gathering, and she placed the basket in front of him. She placed her hand on his back, and she said, "Old man, please, for whatever you've been through in life, take this as my gratitude for your journey of life and old age. For I have made the mistake of not showing my gratitude before, and I will never make that mistake again. Now I give thanks for everyone I meet, no matter who they are or what their motives. I'm grateful for their journey and that they trust me as their queen." And so she gave him a big hug to his bewilderment. And in the process, she slipped the most precious gem in the world in to a pocket in his in his tattered cloak. She gave it to him. And after that, they parted ways. But do you know what happens next? Do you remember what happens next? Well, he's taken to his bedroom where there's a beautiful bath drawn and clothes, gorgeous clothing, supplies for the journey, his little basket with him. And he got in there, and the minute the door was closed, he threw off the garments of the beggar. He jumped into the tub, he washed himself up, took the dirt off, put on the royal clothes, and thought, I'll teach them a lesson. And he proceeded to scour the room for any valuables. In the deep of dark of the night, while everyone slept, he went down the hallways, checking all the secret passages, all the hiding places, the safes, everything and anything that he could check to look for the gem. And it was nowhere. It was nowhere. He thought he knew that place inside out and up and down. And finally, he began to hear the roosters in the stable crying at twilight. And he couldn't believe that he had been fooled again. And he left. He ran out the back door, so to speak, and the guards and the towers saw him go. And they told the story to the queen, who they saw and how he left. And she remained brokenhearted for the rest of her days. Sad story, right? I don't know. I think I tell sadder stories when I'm online. So let's take some time and talk about this story and gratitude and what it has to do with your life. Because I think this story says a lot. First of all, the first error, perhaps, if we were to just pick this apart, is that maybe the queen, like the rest of us, maybe she just doesn't express gratitude enough, right? Like, I think we all have people in our lives who we appreciate, who we value, who we love, but we wait. We wait for Thanksgiving. We wait for a birthday. We wait for a bar mitzvah. We wait for Christmas. We wait for Ramadan. Whatever it is, we wait for some special excuse or occasion to express our gratitude instead of sharing it every single day. I remember once, actually, it was a man in a workshop that I was teaching in California. I know there's some Californians listening. And if you remember Lloyd, and Lloyd, you might be listening. And I remember Lloyd said something to me. This is a long time ago now, but he said, you know, he was telling me about his marriage. They've been married so long. And he talked about how they were still so in love and how they'd come through so many difficult things. They've been married for decades and decades and decades. And he wasn't even such an older person. And he said, well, he said, I try to do something every single day, which is to say to my wife, no matter what's going on, at some point I have to say, I love you. I'm grateful for you. And is there anything you need from me or anything you want to tell me? Every day, every single day, he would offer that. Affirmation, I love you. Gratitude, I'm grateful for you. And the demonstration of gratitude. How can I be more present with you? Is there something I can do? Something you want to say? And you might want to write that down. And you know what? I like that. And it made me realize that gratitude has to be more than a feeling, but a practice. And so I do that in my own life every day, every single day. And I try to do it not only with my wife, but I try to do it with my kids as well. The reality is I could probably do it with more people, right? Why couldn't I do that with Darrell or Susan or the board or you? So the first opportunity in this story is to consider, do we assure the people that we love and appreciate the most, do we affirm that? Do we let them know that enough that they would never question it? Now, we get to the next part of the story. So here she makes a decision to protect this advisor. But the advisor takes it as an insult. I think that's a great example of just about every day of our lives. Most of us, now I know we've seen all kinds of crazy crap on the news this year about malicious people and selfish people and so on, but the fundamental human drive, and we even know this from social studies and human history, the fundamental human drive is still towards basic goodness and fairness. In fact, there's a wonderful book called Humankind, Kind. Bergman is the author, Humankind. And it's all about this principle that when in doubt, just remember that most people are doing the best they can with what they've got. Most people want a better world or a better way, not just for themselves. And most people are even the things that they're doing are their idea of what they think the best thing is for everyone. Now, I know there's exceptions, but the point is that just like the advisor in the story, too often we take our feelings of hurt and reaction and we don't ask questions. Why would you say that? Did you know that that hurt me? I found this confusing. Can we do this differently, right? Instead of appreciating the connection, and I'm not talking about us and strangers, I'm talking about us and the relationships that matter, friends, family, coworkers, and so on. Do we dignify the relationship with real communication, right? How did that happen? What did you mean? Here's what I'm feeling, right? All these things as a way to prevent the doors from closing, to prevent the heart from closing. And very often, we don't do that. We feel our reaction, we assume the worst intention, and then ungratefully, we withdraw. We withdraw. And this could be someone that's been in our life for years. This could be someone we're been friends with for decades, or we've been married to, or whatever it might be. Where's the gratitude? Start with gratitude. I appreciate that this was a hard decision for you. Start with gratitude. You know how much I need you, love you, appreciate you. Start with gratitude. I've always valued what we have. And that's why when you said this or did this, I felt, right? Ownership. I felt. Help me understand. Be curious. But just like the old man in the story, old man is sort of a colloquialism. I hope you appreciate that. We don't. We pick up our toys and we run. And sure enough, the Queen demonstrates what most of us feel, was that we didn't really mean it the way it was heard. We didn't really mean it the way it was felt. We thought we were doing a good thing. But as we come towards the end of the story, we find the return of the advisor. And we find that this Queen wants to give him the most precious thing she's got to make amends. In fact, I suppose in the story, she thinks she'll see him in the morning and they'll, hug and reunite and there'll be gratitude. I mean, imagine him going back to his room, being grateful for the bread and apples, being grateful for the meal and the kind treatment, being grateful when he finds that as he takes off his garments carefully and thoughtfully, and as he changes carefully and thoughtfully, that he finds this most precious gem. But no, because he's caught up in his anger, he's caught up in his disappointment, he's caught up in the indignation that arises from his perception of a lack of gratitude. So there's two lessons we're going to finish with in this story. The first is to always, always be mindful that you do what you do without attachment. You do what you do without attachment. That means if you cook dinner and you're looking for thanks, don't cook dinner. If you clean the room and you're looking for thanks, that's not what it's about. You do these things as a gift. And a gift, when you frankly commit any act with or on behalf of others, a gift means that it's theirs now to do with what they want. And if they want to thank you, they can thank you. If they want to appreciate it, they can appreciate it. And if they don't, what matters is that you in your heart did what you knew you wanted to do. You chose to do, even if you felt you had to do it. So what the advisor represents at the end of the story is the way that sometimes we start to connect our identity and our sense of satisfaction with the gratitude of others. And suddenly, gratitude is no longer a spiritual force, but a commodity. Why didn't they say thank you? Why didn't they appreciate me more? And it teaches us that the power of life is inside you. It doesn't come from a thank you. It doesn't come from a gift. It doesn't come from a golden watch at retirement. And yes, those can be powerful moments of connection. Gratitude, when heartfelt, connects us, unites us, opens our minds and our hearts. But gratitude as a kind of commercial exchange separates us and divides us. It's filled with expectation and judgment and hollow habit. But this really draws us to the last point and some of the things I want to share in the end of our time together. In the archetypes of the story, the queen, the supreme ruler in a story, usually represents one of two things. Usually represents either ego, right? If it's a greedy king or an evil queen, right? Usually those are archetypes or symbols for the ego. Or typically, if it's a all-powerful or all-knowing or benevolent ruler, they are very often a symbol for the ultimate self, which could either be God, spirit, or your own soul, right? So the idea is like your soul in relationship to your ego, soul being the queen, ego being the advisor, helping until it felt unsafe, and then fighting. See how that works? Your ego can be incredibly powerful. And it should be helpful. That's what it's there for. We don't actually want to get rid of the ego. We want to understand it better. We want to empower it differently. We want it rooted in our relationship with love and spirit. And then the ego serves. But when we put our identity in the ego, I am what I have, I am what I do, I am what I can control, you're screwed. Because then it's always attached, it's always controlling, it's always judging. And that gets you into trouble. But in this case, I kind of like to think of the queen as life itself, as God. And to me, God and soul, whatever, those are kind of interchangeable to me. And principle that the story ends with is that God, life, has given us everything, everything we need beyond what we've considered, beyond what we know. And yet, we, like people pretending to be beggars, right? The soul, okay, so just try to picture this. The queen is life, God. The advisor is the self on earth, soul and ego entwined. And here, playing the part of a beggar, the soul forgets its true nature. It forgets to trust. It forgets that closest to its heart is the most precious gift in the world. It's not out there somewhere. That life, the queen, has given it to us. Put it right in our pocket. It's like right here with me. It's right there with you. It's as close as your breath. You're sitting on it like that. But no. We're too busy with our own smaller stories of life and self and who said what and what they should have said and why they didn't do something differently, why they didn't visit me or not visit me or call me or not call me. And we miss the fact that what we have is life, and life is the gift. Life is the gift. And so as we wrap up the story, which hopefully for you has been filled with some important lessons to carry on with, what we move into is a contemplation. What does it mean to be grateful for life? I think we've all done the gratitude thing enough. We know about gratitude journals and gratitude exercises. We know gratitude is the attitude. But what if we expand our idea of gratitude? What if we refine our sense of gratitude? What if gratitude always starts with thankfulness for life itself? To be alive. And more than that, to understand that to be alive is to be animated with the same life force that we see everywhere. The trees are alive. The mountain lion is alive. The deserts of the Sahara swirl and change over time, and in their way they are alive. The mountains, once low, then high, once high, then low, in their way are alive. This universe, evolving, adapting, growing, learning, changing, it's all alive in life. And we experience our portion of it. We experience it living through us. Life is living through us. The force of life, the spirit of life. And when we open our hearts with gratitude to life, then life arises. In that harmony, life strengthens. In that openness, life flows through us. And we are free of resistance. We are free of struggle. We are free of conflict. And when such things do come into our field of life, we experience them at a distance as a part of life. We feel them, we learn from them, we move on from them. No attachment, for we know that the only thing that's happening is life. So we start each gratitude with gratitude for life, another day of life, another day to love, to learn, to let go. Life is the origin and the root of our most healing gratitude. And in that gratitude, life communicates with us, teaches us, heals us. When we start with gratitude for life, we not only give thanks on our behalf, but I invite you to explore the experience of moving into the collective consciousness. What does it mean to give thanks for life, not as a me, but as a we? What does it mean to give thanks for life, not as just me, but as we? As powerful as gratitude is, we can elevate even our experience of gratitude, not only by the focusing on gratitude for life alone, life itself, but to understand that by centering on gratitude for life, we are centering in the collective consciousness. And so the gratitude becomes we, not me. We are grateful. Or I am grateful for our life, our world, our food, our humanity, our love, our wisdom. Pray like a we, not a me. And your prayers for life will blossom like a garden. They will feed you, they will shelter you, and they will be filled with healing medicines. Pray as a we, not a me, in your relationship with life, and it will blossom for you endlessly. That means you remember every day you are not alone. That means you remember every day you're an expression of something greater. That means every single day you are remembering that we are embedded in wisdom and love and a force that connects all things. Don't let that force become distorted and disturbed by reactivity, by selfishness, by fear, by anger. You're welcome to all those experiences, but only as a part of the play of life. They have no ultimate meaning in the end. Only moment to moment. They teach you something, show you something. Don't repress them, don't overlook them, but don't let them distract you from the truth, which is that you and me are a we, whether we see each other or not, or feel each other or not. And the one thing that we can always be grateful for is the one thing that is everything. When I give thanks for my cereal, it's gratitude for life. When I give thanks for the water that I drink, it's gratitude for life. When I give thanks for you, when I look for the lessons in a struggle, it is all gratitude for the miraculous design that is life, that is love and wisdom, ever abundant, always present in life. So, this is what I wanted to share with you today. And I want to quickly go over the announcements. Tuesday, 2020 recovery at 12 noon Denver time. Thursdays, please RSVP. Actually, you can RSVP for all these sessions. Tuesday, 12 noon. Thursday, morning and night, community connections. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very meaningful. I hope you'll join us. Wednesday, diversity dialogues, the Mariposa program. Tuesdays at night, I think it's 7:30. The spiritual experience class series continues. Once Upon a Time with Joni Klieger. Sign up before it's full. It's going to be amazing online. Diversity Dialogue, I meant to say, is Wednesday, December 2nd, celebrating World AIDS Day. And most significantly, before we come back to our closing reflections on gratitude, please, if there is, I'm sorry, because this is going to sound um, a little too humble, but if there is any gratitude in your heart for what Althea is, for who we are, what we do, what we mean, not only to you, but our world, then we are asking you to take some time and be a part of our Legends and Luminaries event. And you can do that not only by getting your ticket, it's not cheap, right? It's $50. 100% goes to Althea. We have massive insurance payments coming up in January. We do not want to finish this year in the hole. We have stayed strong. We have stayed together. We need to get through these lean days and help each other. When you attend this, I promise you, you will find something very special in this event. But maybe more so, I'm going to ask each person here to write down a list of 5 people who you think you could invite to attend this with you. The other thing that's really cool is that we are going to have some Althea discussion groups, open, free, to talk about the event after the event. So the week after, December 10th, and our Legends and Luminaries event, I'm going to host some small group discussions. We might even have some other facilitators, and you can get together and talk about what you heard, what it means to you, and how you'll be living that wisdom. This is a way to bring us together as a community. Please don't wait to get your ticket. We need to know that our seats are full sooner than later, and we don't want you missing out. So please, 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 in gratitude, I'm asking, take a little time, write down 5 names, get your ticket today. In addition, of course, some of you are already donating for today's service, and we are grateful. We are always grateful, but on this day of honoring Thanksgiving, we are grateful for the fact that we wouldn't be here, our staff, our building, our mission that is in loving service to a better, more peaceful, more whole world. You, literally you listening, and every person that has ever shared your attention, your prayers, and yes, your donations and contributions, you make this possible. And what you forget, and please don't forget, that whatever you've given in the past has been a part of creating this harbor that thousands of people have been touched by. Not just our in-person gatherings and the community and the connection, but now through the online world, thousands of people have heard our messages on Facebook and YouTube. And I promise you, you don't get to see the messages that I do, but there are hundreds of the 1,000 out there that have contacted me or Susan or Darrell or a board member to say, thank you for being there. This gave me hope. Thank you for that message. This got me through a hard time. Thank you for the message and the community, because that Sunday I no longer felt alone and I left with a new view of my life. So I guess it's just a big, long way of saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you that has made this what it is and what it will be. On that note, let's close with this reading. This is kind of our prayer to close. It's by Brother David Stendal Rast. Many of you have actually read him. And this is from a Thanksgiving prayer and a blessing. And I'm sorry, because I just said I was going to close with this, but there's something you should probably know. If you've listened this far, thank you. It's only going to be a couple more minutes. Many of you don't know that actually Thanksgiving wasn't celebrated until 1789. 1789. It wasn't a pilgrim celebration, and many of us know that today. Many of us know the painful history that preceded Thanksgiving, that the real story of conquest and colonization wasn't something that we are all proud of. and wasn't something that a lot of people celebrate. That in itself, I think, is something we must face and own and recognize, that we do have a history of grave errors and deep mistakes and even horrible atrocities. However, the fact that the story about Thanksgiving isn't true doesn't have to take away from the fact that gratitude and a day for gratitude is something we all need and we will always need. In fact, the true story that many people don't know is that Thanksgiving was actually fabricated as a holiday to unite the country in a time of division, to give people something to look forward to in common, and to turn attention away from the divisions, the political divisions of North and South. Perhaps there has been no more important a Thanksgiving in this country's history since the first. For this is a moment in history, and in the history of this country, wherever you're listening from, I can say in this country, in the United States, it is a time to move our energy from resistance and division to gratitude, connection, and asking how can we work together. Remember the lesson at the beginning. Can we look to our neighbors and friends and say, I love you. I'm grateful for you. What is it you need from me? What would you like me to do? And is there something you want to tell me? Just listen with an open heart and mind. Having said that, let us now close. I invite you to shut your eyes for just a moment. Take a nice breath for this prayer, this blessing, this reflection. Gratefulness brings joy to my life. How could I find joy in what I take for granted? So I stop taking for granted, and there is no end to the surprises I find. A grateful attitude is a creative one, because in the final analysis, opportunity is the gift within the gift of every moment. The opportunity to see and hear and smell and touch and taste with the pleasure of life. There's no closer bond than the one that gratefulness celebrates, the bond between giver and thanksgiver. Everything is a gift. Grateful living is a celebration of the universal give and take of life, a limitless yes to belonging. Can our world survive without gratefulness? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: to say an unconditional yes to the mutual belonging of all beings. Yes, the mutual belonging of all beings will make this a more joyful world. This is the reason why yes is my favorite synonym for God. And with that, I thank you all for your time, your love, your generosity of self to consider this journey together, your donations, and all the ways that you help by staying centered in spirit. I'll see you soon. Lots of love. I'll catch you this week in classes and next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.